Washington City Council to order. We normally begin our meetings with a prayer. At this time, I ask you to stand if you're able, and ask Councilmember Ruben Blackwood to lead us in prayer.
Let us pray. Thank you, Lord, for the grace that you have extended towards us. Help us to flow in that and appreciate it and extend it to others. We ask for your wisdom as we deliberate issues of important matters that make a difference in the lives of our citizens. Thank you for a spirit of collaboration and cooperation. And we bless your name. And thank you for all good things. In your name we pray. Amen.
Ask the city clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Knight.
Here.
Blackwell.
Here.
Joyner.
Here.
Watson.
Here.
Rogers.
Here.
Bullock.
Here.
And Miller.
Here.
You came in today, there was an agenda. As you came in, if we didn't have enough, hopefully you'll share with your neighbor. We do go by the agenda item, and we're on item number 4 now. And that is consideration of minutes for the following regular scheduled city council meeting. And this was for meetings that were held on June 10th, 24th, July 8th, and 22nd. And I would recommend approving the minutes. If there's no objections or corrections, then we'll accept the minutes as submitted. Item number 5 is consideration of minutes and recommendations from a special call committee of the whole meeting, which was held on June 24th and August 8th, and a regular committee of the whole meeting held on July 8th. The 24th was a closed session for client attorney privilege. B was an economic impact analysis. C was downtown development project pro forma. D was next steps by Amy Staten, recommended parking concept 2 for approval. And E was a closed personnel session. July the 8th was boards and commissions committee. It was removed from the agenda. We didn't have enough time. B was non-residential maintenance code and internal demolition process update. We got some other information on that again today. C was a recommendation for public service awards. Natasha Hampton was funding allocation recommended for approval by United Community Ministries, Rocky Mount Edgecombe CDC Housing Counseling, Boys and Girls Club, and the Tar River Region, and the Buck Leonard Associates. Item D was classification and compensation contract amendment. Again, I think most of you know that we're going through a process right now which we are looking at our classification and compensation for employees. That was done by Wayne Henderson, our Human Relations Director, recommended for approval of the contract and amendment with the Gallagher Benefit Services. August 8th was a downtown development project update for Mary Russer. Closed session was item B, and C was a website upgrade by Pam Casey. Recommended action is to approve the minutes and recommendations.
Mayor, for a point of clarification, so are we approving the minutes or
Yes.
are we approving the recommendations out of those meetings? Because I remember voting against a couple of those items.
Both.
So I would have to vote against then a couple of items that are listed here.
Okay.
Likewise.
All right. Then we will go through the closed, on June 24th, we have a closed session of economic impact analysis, downtown development project pro forma. I don't think we took any action at that point in time. Did you say something?
No.
Okay.
We're sure of that.
All right. On July the 8th was a boards and commission, non-residential maintenance code, and recommendation for public service awards. I don't think anything had to be approved or action taken there. D was a classification and compensation contract. We did, I think we approved that. And then on August the 8th was the downtown development project, adopting the resolution. So that may be the item that you two were talking about. So could you make a motion subject to that?
Make a motion to approve these minutes, but I would have to exclude item D, which I voted against, and also item A under August 8th.
All right.
They're both against both of those.
So who are we voting for what? Maybe we need to vote for the minutes.
Let's vote for the minutes
Yeah.
first.
Yeah.
All in favor? So who makes a motion?
So just as a clarification,
We've already voted.
That vote happened in this room.
Okay.
So it was not an actual vote. Just information.
So the vote was already taken on these
The vote
issues.
happened when we came to the.
Right.
That's where the vote happened.
So there's no need to
That's where that
re-vote.
Is that you voted against that. And I just, so it's just for information that, so in the committee of the whole, there was no vote.
Okay, on which item?
Item D,
Item D, okay.
so July, there was no vote on that. And what was the other one?
Item A
Item
of the
A,
August
August
8th.
8th.
So item A was a vote, and it is noted in those minutes that you voted against it, but. Yes, ma'am.
So we need a motion to approve these minutes. That's all we're doing. is approve. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. All right, we're gonna move on to item number 6 then, community update. I'm calling our city manager, Rochelle Small-Tony.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. I will try to keep this as brief as I can. However, there are some significant updates that I would like to provide to council and to the public. First of all, speaking on the sanitation workers' strike of 1978, the public is invited to view a 53-minute documentary produced by the City of Rocky Mount's Communications and Marketing Office, focused on the sanitation workers' strike of 1978. I have previewed this documentary, and I will tell you it is a very exceptional job done by our community and marketing staff. The documentary viewing will take place Saturday, September 7th at 2:30 p.m. in the Booker T. Washington Community Center. The documentary will follow the North Carolina Highway Historical Marker Unveiling Ceremony sponsored by the Phoenix Historical Society, taking place at 1:00 p.m., also at the BTW Community Center. The sanitation workers' strike of 1978 began when a City of Rocky Mount employee, Alexander Preacher Evans, picked up a suit of clothes left by a trash can at a residence in the Inglewood neighborhood. Workers had been instructed by management that any items left within a 5-foot vicinity of trash cans could be picked up by them. Evans was known for his ministry, which included donating clothes like the suit and other items to the needy. After receiving complaints from the residents that a suit was stolen, Evans denied stealing the items and returned the clothing to his supervisor the following day. However, Evans was suspended from his job for 2 days and charged with misdemeanor larceny. What followed was the sanitation workers' strike of 1978. I would also add that the strike is credited for spurning a voter rights lawsuit that resulted in a racially balanced ward system that allowed for African Americans to be elected to the City Council. On October the 8th, 2018, the City of Rocky Mount issued an apology to the Evans family, his supporters, and to the sanitation workers employed during the 1978 strike, and a resolution was presented in their honor, recognizing the 40th anniversary of the strike. This year, we will have a historical marker unveiling. I would like to recognize all of the members of the Phoenix Historical Society that started bringing to the city's attention that this was a historical event. The city is excited about the marker unveiling. I would also like to thank the Phoenix Historical Society for providing our communications and marketing office with numerous articles and interviewees for this documentary. If there are any members of the Phoenix Historical Society here today, please stand and please, everyone, give them a huge round of applause as I call their names out. We have Mr. Evans' co-workers, English and Rudolph Edmondson, Willie Moody and Leonard Giles, Reverend Thomas L. Walker, Reverend Lloyd Morris, and Jean Pryor, the daughter of Naomi Green, Judge Quentin Sumner, and former Human Relations Director Samuel Gray. Richard Pettaway from the Rocky Mount City Workers Association, Saladin Muhammad of Black Workers for Justice, Jim Wren of the Phoenix Historical Society also provided a historical component. And finally, Mrs. Marjorie Evans, the widow of Alexander Evans, and all of the family of Mr. Alexander Evans. Please recognize the wonderful contributions that these individuals made to our city. And now for just a very quick preview of the document. For the sake of time here, we'll come back to that. The second update is a MWBE meet and greet, which will be held next Friday, September 6th from 2 to 5 at the Imperial Center. This is an opportunity for any minority women, business, enterprise owners to meet our staff. And also, I would like to take this opportunity to introduce a new hire to our finance team. If Candace Kurtz is here, this is our new purchasing manager. Candace works under the direction of the Director of Finance, Amos State, and we want to welcome you. And this is the first of many projects, I think, that Candace will lead. So please be mindful of that opportunity next Friday, September the 6th, from 2 to 5 in the Imperial Center. And then finally, would like to bring to the public's attention an interactive ward map that is now available on the city's website. If you look under the tab for government, and then pull down mayor and council, and then under that, you will see a ward map, which is very, very, very useful. It helps people to understand what ward they actually live in, and it also gives you information about your ward representative on city council. So I won't ask them to pull that down at the moment, but certainly it is a very helpful tool. I know it was very helpful, would have been very helpful to me as a newcomer to the city to understand which ward I actually lived in. So are we ready? Okay? Back to the document.
He always talked to us about the goals. So we young guys, we don't want to hear it, but that's what he always did. And he carried himself in a very way that we all have respect for him.
And I spoke to the lead investigator for the city police department, and they all were just adamant that they were not going to dismiss this matter.
And when that money came and the charge had not been dropped, the next day, the workers, led by Leonard Giles, said, "We're going on strike."
Because the incident should never have happened.
Again, it is a very high quality reduction. Excuse me, and want to acknowledge Tamika Keenan Norman and her very fine staff for an awesome job. The next item is a presentation by our Water Resources Director, Brenton Bent, and this is in response to questions that have been raised about the quality of our water supply. Brenton.
Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council, Manager Small Tony, staff members, and citizens of Rocky Mount, good afternoon. I am very proud to serve this city as your Water Resources Director. At the request of Council, I am here to provide to you an update on the quality of our water and the efforts we are making towards preserving our water infrastructure. I would like to begin my presentation first by reciting the mission of our city because it clearly defines what we do as an organization for our customers. The city's mission is to advance community well-being, safety, and quality of life by delivering exceptional municipal services. The mission of the Water Resources Department supports this larger mission and seeks to produce and deliver the highest quality water in an environmentally responsible manner to preserve the public's health and safety. These are not just fancy words on a board. We live by these ideals. It is important to note that of the many essential services and exceptional services that all the departments across the city provides, Water Resources is the only department that produces a product that goes inside your body every day. Water is life. It is for this reason that we operate our water treatment facilities in such a manner that quality is always a top priority. For us, it is more than just meeting regulatory standards. It is about delivering the best quality product. We are very fortunate in Rocky Mount to have one of the best water sources in the region, the Tar River. This is a picture of our beautiful Tar River Reservoir, which impounds approximately 1,650 acres and 3 billion gallons of water. This is one of our major water infrastructure. The water treatment process is both a physical and a chemical process. In its simplest form, raw water is pumped from the river to the plant, where chemicals are added to bond the solids together. The water then moves to a larger holding tank, where the solids will settle to the bottom, sedimentation. The much cleaner water is then filtered through a filter bed of sand and other media to further remove impurities. The final stage is a disinfection process which kills or deactivates pathogens using chlorine. Pathogens are disease-causing microorganisms. The finished water is also treated with fluoride to support dental health before being pumped to our customers. We operate our water system to guarantee the highest quality product, and I am proud to report several recognitions and significant milestones that we have accomplished over the years. First place for best tasting drinking water in the state of North Carolina, 2004 and 2010. Second place, 2009 and 2011. Third place, 2005. And even though we may have not had a recent placement, we strongly believe the taste buds of those judges need to be examined. The city continues, however, to submit water samples every year because of our confidence in the quality of our water. Very importantly, the city has not issued a boil water notice in over 12 years. Now, don't knock on wood, because this is not by luck or chance. This is because of a committed and dedicated team of employees who strive every day to ensure our water quality. The city was allowed by the EPA to reduce lead monitoring to every 3 years, and I will speak more to that in an upcoming slide. But very importantly, the water treatment plants pass all state-mandated annual inspections, and as you know, we issue a public annual drinking water quality report to inform our customers on test results. Now, the intent of this slide, water regulations, is certainly not to give you a lesson in chemistry or biology, but it is just to emphasize that the federal and state regulatory standards under which our water system operates are very, very stringent. We are required to test for and report on a routine basis all these potentially harmful chemical and biological products to protect the health of the public. Apart from the hourly and daily process control testing that is conducted, we are required to test monthly, quarterly, yearly, and every 3 to 9 years for these additional parameters. I highlighted lead because this has become an area of concern for many of our customers, given the 2015 incident in Flint, Michigan, and the recent comparison to our water system. All of us in the water industry regretted what happened in Flint, and we feel the pain of all those who were impacted. However, I can assure you that the likelihood of that incident happening in Rocky Mount is extremely low. Remember, we talked about water source earlier. Flint's water source was the Flint River, which is known to contain very hard water. Hard water is caused by a significant amount of dissolved minerals like calcium or magnesium. On the contrary, our Tar River has a lower mineral content. Because of the hardness of the water in the Flint River, a chemical was used to treat in their treatment process, which caused leaching of lead from pipes in their distribution system. Rocky Mount, on the other hand, uses a much milder chemical, and fortunately, we have no lead pipes in our distribution system of which we are aware. So the unfortunate incident in Flint was not related to failing or crumbling infrastructure as you may have been led to believe. Flint's issue was a direct result of their water treatment process. It should be noted that once they returned to purchasing water from the city of Detroit and using the same infrastructure, the problem was resolved. So let's talk a little bit about lead and lead monitoring. Lead typically gets into treated water through pipes that convey water to the customer. Plumbing inside older homes, those built prior to 1986, can also be a source of lead. Now, around 1986, the Environmental Protection Agency set regulations that minimize the use of materials that contribute to the possibility of lead getting into the water supply. So Rocky Mount has been testing lead for the past 25 years under EPA regulations. And in 1996, the EPA allowed the city to reduce sampling frequency to every 3 years and 30 samples because of favorable results that we have gotten. So the last testing cycle that the city participated in was in 2017, and all results were less than 3 parts per billion, which is well below the limit of 15 parts per billion. We will now turn our attention to the major assets of our water system. And as you can see, we are fortunate in Rocky Mount to have 2 water treatment plants, the Sunset Avenue plant and the Tar River Reservoir plant, with a combined treatment capacity of 26 million gallons per day. Our daily demand is 9 million gallons per day, so we are well prepared for future growth. We can easily switch between plants in the unlikely event of a complete failure at either plant. It is great to have this flexibility. I am pleased to report the progress we have made over the past 3 years towards upgrading or preserving our water infrastructures. Thanks to the support of Council, we were able to completely rehabilitate the filter system at the Tar River plant in 2016 at a cost of $954,000. This was a very essential project to support plant efficiency and water quality. We are currently replacing a 1990 model high-duty pump at the Sunset Avenue plant at a cost of $750,000. The pump has served for 29 years, and even with routine maintenance, had started to lose its pumping efficiency. This pump is critically important because failure could result in loss of water to our customers. In total, Council has approved over $3.5 million for water infrastructures in just the past 3 years. The projects listed on this slide were carefully budgeted and prioritized for the next 5 years with identified funding source. These are projects that we consider more urgent and important towards maintaining water quality and our water infrastructures. We will continue to replace older 2-inch water mains and maintain our elevated water tanks. As you drive around the city, please take note of the nicely painted water tanks. This is one of the more visible projects, but we are also doing less visible projects such as raw water screen replacement. Council recently voted to approve these projects in the FY 2024 Capital Improvement Plan. So these needs are met in the amount of almost $9.5 million. Now, if Council will indulge me for a minute, I would like to just take this opportunity to briefly explain the term unmet needs, which may also be creating some confusion. Unmet need is a budgetary item. It's a budgetary term used to describe projects that we have identified as important but not urgent, and to which no funding has yet been allocated. Projects that are identified as unmet needs has little to no impact on current operations in terms of water quality or infrastructure. These are projects that we intend to address as needed. The Jacobs report identified a total of $62.3 million as unmet needs over a 5-year period allocated between wastewater, water, and stormwater. We believe this number was overly inflated. For example, $32.9 million was estimated for wastewater, but included in that total was $10.5 million for a 27-inch sewer line rehabilitation. Once the engineering study was completed, this estimate was reduced to about $5 to $6 million. In fact, Council has already approved $2 million from sewer fund to address the first phase of this project, which is currently being advertised and should be completed this budget year. So this project is no longer considered an unmet need. Our internal assessment identified specific projects in each utility at an estimated cost of $5.468 million over the next 5 years as unmet needs. Please remember, all cities have unmet needs. This is not unique to Rocky Mount, and our water infrastructures are by no means failing or crumbling around us. It is also important to note, and I am sure our budget manager and finance director will attest to the fact that our water and sewer fund would allow us to financially respond to any unforeseen emergencies. But in the interim, we are proactively addressing areas of concern. Before we close, I would like to quickly introduce our water treatment superintendent, Mr. Jim Conley. Jim, will you please stand? Our water and sewer superintendent, Mr. Nate Williams. And Amanda James, who was recently promoted to the position of Water Quality Services Superintendent. These are the folks who are leading their teams behind the scene to maintain our water quality and infrastructure, and they are doing an outstanding job. Thank you, guys. I'd like to close this presentation with the words of John Maxwell. The pessimist will complain about the wind. The optimist expects it to change. The leader will adjust the sails. To our citizens and water customers, our city leadership team is adjusting the sails every day to ensure that your water quality and water infrastructures are highly maintained and sustainable for for generations to come. So go forth and enjoy our city water with pride and confidence. Thank you.
Thank you, Brandon. We're going to move on to item number 7 now. We've got a number of presentations to make here. The first one is A, and we'll take a minute here. We have a retirement resolution recognizing and honoring Dr. Bill Carver for his service to Nash Community College and Rocky Mountain community. I do need a motion to approve that resolution.
So moved.
All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? We're also going to do a presentation of our Executive Fire Office Certificate to Interim Division Chief Mike Root, and then a presentation by Angela Ramsoni from Aetna Insurance Company to the city for the HERO program. At this time, though, I just want to recognize Dr. Carver. He's a friend of mine and has done a great job at Nash Community College over the years. It says, whereas William Bill Carver began his work at Nash Community College in September of 1987 as the Small Business Center Director, later taking on the roles of Director of Business and Industry Services and Dean of Continuing Education, and then named Vice President for Instruction in 1999. In 2005, Dr. Carver became Nash Community College's 4th president, and under his leadership, the college experienced sustained enrollment, growth, and expanded its footprint, modernizing instructional spaces and delivery. Whereas President Carver's key accomplishments include fundamental education redesign in math, reading, and English, the opening of 4 new buildings to meet the growing needs of the community, support in earning Nash Community College's national ranking for its digital campus and strong partnerships with business and industry, public schools and other community college, 4-year institutions and local community agencies, and through his innovative thinking, vision, and strategic oversight, he created a welcoming environment promoting successful learning and student achievement. And whereas in a time when decreasing enrollment was the trend in community colleges, Nash Community College has been ranked 8th among North Carolina community colleges to experience significant growth in enrollment. Dr. Carver is one of the longest tenured presidents in North Carolina community college system, and his long-range planning has resulted in continued growth and recognition for the college. Under his leadership, Nash Community College was an early adopter of the now proven early college high school concept where students simultaneously earn high school and college credentials. Dr. Carver began the electric line construction program more than 20 years ago, and other programs that have been launched under his leadership, including the veterinary medical technology, a pharmaceutical clean room, and associates in engineering degree. At this time, I'd like Dr. Carver to come up and present him with this resolution. We want to wish him well. I forgot to say that on his retirement. I think he announced his retirement and then convinced him to stay on a little longer through October, maybe.
Through the month of October, yes, sir.
So, again, congratulations, Bill.
Thank you, sir.
Good luck in your retirement.
And 3, 2, 1.
Mayor, as you well know, it is not just one person, it is a great team. I am proud of our association with the city, a wonderful partner. Thank you so much. I'd like to have some people out there.
Yeah, if you're on the board or you support Nash Community College, stand up. Okay, I'm gonna call our city manager.
Okay. At this time, we would ask Division Chief Mike Roop to come forward along with Chief Mercer, please, for a presentation. As he comes forward, Division Chief Root began his career in the fire service with the city of Rocky Mount in November of 1996. Over the past 23 years, he has risen through the ranks as a fire engineer in 2001, a fire captain in 2003, a battalion chief in 2012, and most recently was appointed as interim division chief of operations in July of this year. Chief Root holds a bachelor's degree from East Carolina University, as well as an associate's degree from Wilson Community College in fire protection technology. He is also a 2016 graduate of the Senior Fire Officer Institute. One of his most notable accomplishments during his career with Rocky Mount Fire is he is the co-founder and current administrator of the department's benevolent fund. Chief Root has been married to his wife, Amy, for 26 years, and they have 2 sons. Their oldest son, Chase, is a firefighter with Northern Wake Fire Department. Their youngest son, Landon, just began his junior year at UNCW. Tonight, we are here to recognize Chief Root's latest accomplishment of completing the Executive Fire Officer Program. The Executive Fire Officer Program is a joint initiative of the U.S. Fire Administration and the National Fire Academy to provide senior fire officers with enhanced professional development through a unique series of 4 graduate-level courses. Each course consists of a 2-week class at the National Fire Academy, followed by an applied research project that relates to their organization after each course. Over the course of 4 years, senior officers become equipped with skills in personal and organizational leadership, community risk reduction, and emergency services operations. During the 31 years of the program's existence, only 4,100 fire officers worldwide have completed the program, and only 170 of those have been from North Carolina. We are pleased tonight to say the Chief Root has become the 12th member of the Rocky Mount Fire Department to complete the rigorous 4 years of study and research projects required to be a graduate of the Executive Fire Officer Program. Congratulations, Chief Root.
Yeah, we want to congratulate him. That's a lot of commitment, and we're proud of him, and we're proud of the Rocky Mount Fire Department.
Can I ask something special? I couldn't have done it without all the guys that are back there. Do we have time to just take a quick picture with them? Can you guys come down? We couldn't have done it without. Chief Mercer is also an EFO graduate, and he was recognized in Elizabeth City. So it's pretty special that he was recognized for it as well. I do, if we can. Chief Summerlin's in his 3rd year of the EFO program.
Somebody can have it. Fill in behind me.
And Chief Moore starting his in November. So you can see the focus on it in the organization and the vision.
How about if we balance?
Okay. I'm sorry I'm taking up the time, guys, but this is
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now I'd like to call Angela Ramsey with Edna Insurance Company.
As Angela comes forward, Mayor, members of council, and public, Aetna is the city's insurance provider. We switched over last year, and I'm very pleased to invite Angela down to present to the city of Rocky Mount a nice size check in support of a program, an initiative that was started last year called the HERO Program. And this is a program that the city is in partnership with Boys and Girls Club to assist our young people at Williford Elementary School. This is the second year that the council has so graciously funded the program at the tune of $75,000 last year as well as this year. But the check, once we cash it, will certainly help us support this program, this initiative again this year. And we're very, very thankful for Aetna for being not only the city's health care provider, but also a community partner. So with that, Angela, if do you have any?
Just a few. I wanted to first and foremost say thank you to you, Manager Smontoni, and to the mayor and to the city council for supporting this effort, and also to Mr. Green. I've had the opportunity to visit the site. I've seen the children. This was their first day of school, so they were really excited about completing school, but most importantly, they were excited about the afternoon that they were going to spend with the HERO program. So Aetna not only supports the city of Rocky Mount and your benefit plans, but we also support this community, and it does my heart good to see children who love to learn and love to be supported, and we will do all that we can to continue that effort. So thank you. Oh, and did I say the amount? No. I didn't. So the amount is $50,000. So this
Foundation board meeting, Dr. Carter.
I was just making sure it didn't, go ahead. 3, 2, 1. Holding the check,
Thank you. That's great news to the city of Rocky Mount. We certainly appreciate not only support with our employees, but also the generosity. Thank you so much. This time, we're going to move on to our petition to be received from the public. Remember, I've been here before, but I will read the statement just so you'll know if you haven't been here. This is an opportunity for the public comment. Thank you for coming to the city council to share your views. We value your input. If you'd like to address the council, you needed to sign one of these, so we would know to ask you to come forward. Any comments should be directed to the council as a whole and not to individual council members or city staff. It is your opportunity to raise a question or present a request to the council. However, in most cases, council members will not respond to public comments, but may refer the matter to the city manager or staff for follow-up. We ask that you speak from the podium in a civil, non-argumentative, and respectful manner. Personal attack which have the potential to disrupt the meeting will not be tolerated, and you'll be asked to sit down or be removed from the meeting. Time will be monitored in order to give everyone an opportunity to speak. You have 3 minutes, and I'll give you a heads up at about 2.5 minutes. If you are speaking for a group, then I'd ask one person to designate for that group to make comments. At this time, I'd ask, and we're going to call them in the order we received them, Thomas Walker. Reverend Thomas Walker, I'm sorry.
Mr. Mayor and Council, I simply wanted to stand here today and thank you for the documentary that has been developed on a very important point of history in this city. It was, needless to say, a very difficult moment for all of us who were involved. I see Mrs. Evans today. Could she raise her hand again? We thank God for her that was such a praying and beautiful spirit through the whole episode, and all of the members of the sanitation department who are here. We have members here today. We really think that was one of our key persons there that was involved. I might just say parenthetically, I'm not trying to start anything, but he did lose his job during that time, and I hope the city will look retrospectively as long as it's been to see if all justice has been done for him, because if it was right today, it was right then. But I just mentioned that in passing. Thank you so very much for the work that this city is doing, its entire council, our mayor, and I'm very happy to be a member and a part of rocking our community.
Thank you, sir. Jeanette Thomas Cobb, then after that, Diane McNulty, I'm sorry.
Good afternoon, City Council. I'm going to preface this again. I only speak to little kids, 2nd and 3rd grade, so forgive me if I'm not the best. And I dropped my first bra. Good evening again. I'm Jeanette Thomas Cobb, 1828, Augustus Drive, Rocky Mount, North Carolina. Also famous for a mountain that has no name. And it's a joke. Some of you up there know the joke. I'm holding this up, and all of you know what this is. Many of you remember this being waved around. Well, we're waving it, we're not waving it around now. We need to be waving this Constitution. And those who believe in the Bible need to be waving it around. And I'm saying this because, and also I want to mention family values. Some of you do have a memory in here. Family values in this Constitution is waved around. Well, all of that means something, and should mean something to you. But sometimes I'm beginning to wonder. I appear before the Rocky Mount City Council on behalf of the following late matriarchs of my family. My son, Harold, my mama, Clara Elizabeth Thomas, who became mentally ill after birthing me and was unable to care for me. True story. So my dad called my grandma, Grandma Molly. Grandma Molly came to the rescue. I have more that I could say. And also Grandmother Hester, who died before I could meet her. Please let me finish this. And the late Margaret, my stepmother, Margaret Thomas, who always reminded my dad in the summertime, in August, when it's time for me to go to school, she would say, Jim, it's time for Jeanette to go back to college. Now that was my stepmother. So I come from strong black women. My stepmother was a Philadelphia Democrat, and my dad, held some sort of position related to the Democratic Party. But I'm positive my Grandma Molly and Hester may not have voted, and I'm sure about my mom Clara because she was mentally ill. But I do want to say that the ones who did not vote,
You've only got about 30 seconds.
I'm absolutely positive, didn't entirely because of societal constraints and limitations, and they rarely verbalize opinions about being a black woman in America. So here I stand at 70-plus-year-old to let you know how I feel. I do plan to vote, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Diane? After her is Randy Adcock. Yeah.
Okay, I live in 40...
Again, state your name.
Oh, my name is Diane McNulty. It's not a common North Carolina name, obviously. I live in the Westry District on Morning Glory Way, and I moved there about 2 years ago from the Smithfield area. One thing I noticed within 6 months was people not reading the speed sign, and it's posted as 25, and talked to some of my neighbors, and they agreed that, and some had called the city with nothing really being done. They put out a flashing thing to time them, but it unfortunately continues. And it's not the question of, is there gonna be anybody hit by a car? It's just simply when, because it's gonna happen. A lot of pedestrians are traveling from age 2 to 82. One, sometimes 2 pets. So I had put on there as proposed solutions was definitely to post a second speed sign, since they're not seeing it. Some people are seeing it, but like half are not, so it's like 50-50. I proposed that we need a pedestrian sign too. So people are like, oh yeah, people walk here. And thirdly, speed bumps. My one neighbor said that the city had said, you know, can't do speed bumps. Please consider that at the very minimum, the rumble strips, so that people are alert that this is a residential area and we don't want any fatalities or injuries. And we had one other concern, I'm going to try to squeeze this in. North Carolina Department of Transportation is going to do some construction on Old Carriage and Sunset. We're concerned because they may be diverted onto our road. And again, we're residential. We already have a speed problem, and we want them to look into it, or I'd like to find out more about that, to be honest with you. Okay.
We'll give this to staff and somebody take a look at it. Thank you. Randy, and then after that, Maureen Jean.
Good afternoon, Mayor, council members. I'm Randy Adcock. I'll be brief. I've never met Rich Worsinger personally, but I've sat in these council chambers many a night and seen him and his department receive multiple accolades. He was a dedicated employee of this city for many, many years, and I think it's a travesty what has happened since he came forward and mentioned the studies regarding the wastewater and the city water situation. I think, like most citizens, I was relieved by Mr. Bent's presentation, and I thank him and his department for clarifying some things I think need to be done. But you know, I've listened to people stand in this room and run Rich Worsinger in the ground. I've read posts on social media where they slander the man and run him in the ground. And had Rich not did what he did, we might not have had the presentation today. So whether there's $63 million in unmet needs, or whether there's $10 million in unmet needs, or whether there's $3 million in unmet needs, I think Rich's point was not that our water quality was in danger. I don't think he ever intended to suggest that our water quality was in danger. In fact, I think it was Councilmember Miller that suggested, his concern was that if there is problems in our water and our sewer infrastructure, then surely they need to be addressed. And I think he was right for bringing it to attention, and I think the city council and the water department, and Mr. Bent particularly, is right to address those concerns and move forward on them. Thank you.
After Maury, is Nehemiah Smith.
Lori Vengeance, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I live at 2220 North Wesleyan Boulevard. We're sort of down from Don Bullock Chevrolet. I just want to know, and maybe the waterman can tell me, why is my water a little bit on the yellow side? But that's not my big thing. My big thing is, I have said this a couple of times before. There is a place, and it used to be called Ebony and Ivory on North Church Street, kind of across from the old Maria Bread place. That place is going downhill every week, and I have to pass by it all the time. And once upon a time, my family owned a little parcel of land downtown, and the city always sent us a nasty letter saying, you better cut your grass or we're going to go down there and do it, and it's really going to cost you. So, of course, we ran down there because we're kind of cheap, but we got it cut. Why hadn't somebody said something to whoever owns that dilapidated building? It looks absolutely horrible. And if we want to show a good representation of our city coming from 95 or something, if they have to get on that highway, they're going to think we're a bunch of chummy people who don't care. I would just like somebody to check into that. I looked on the internet to see if I could call them and say, what do you plan to do with this dump? And nobody will answer. So I guess the phone's off the hook. And again, please do not litter. Because when the state cuts the grass, it cuts all that stuff, and that's 3 times what I have to pick up. Thank you.
Just so you'll know, we had a presentation earlier today at our committee of the whole meeting, and it was exactly about what you just discussed, some of the buildings, and that was one of the pictures that we actually looked at about demolishing or making our commercial property regulations a little stiffer so that we could enforce them. Okay?
Thank you so much.
After Nehemiah is Elijah Aldridge.
Good afternoon to the mayor, council, city manager. First, before I start, I want to say thank you to Mr. Bent for his most responsible report on our water. He is a water man, and an irresponsible statement was made by a gas and electric man, so I'm glad that somebody that has expertise in that field came and made a presentation. I'd rather hear about water from a water man than a gas and electric man. Amen. As the de facto president of the Pothole Patrol, I wanted to make sure that I was still on my job. We have had people who are members of the Pothole Patrol to call me and let me know of 3 most egregious points or potholes in the city. Independence Road near Enjoy. I have pictures of these. Curtis Jones had a problem with River Drive. There was a grate that was off of the water, I guess off of the drain, and it's still off. He messed up the rim of his car there. And then at Virginia, in the 1600 block of Virginia Street where I live in Barnes, there is a major pothole there that is getting worse because of the amount of traffic that comes that way. And they fill the hole with dirt, I guess, but it's just not sufficient. And then, of course, the 400 block of Hammond Street, there is a major pothole there. So we want to make sure that we look after those. They can be dangerous. They're there for cars, but they can also be dangerous for pedestrians, especially children that come in those areas that are curious and may want to mess with those things. So let's look into that. If you want to text us your concern to the Pothole Patrol, please text us at 910-493-5787. 3826. That's 910-493-3826. You can send pictures. Also, we have some pictures that we will provide to city staff concerning those potholes. And we thank you, we continue to thank you, Mayor and Council, for the great work that you continue to do in our city. I was going to come up with a sermon today, but it's not apropos, and they wouldn't allow me to bring my grandstand through security. It was too cumbersome. So have a great week, and God bless.
Thank you. Did y'all get those addresses? Okay, all right. We'll check on those addresses. After Mr. Daughtridge is Elaine Williams.
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council. Up here in regards to Mr. Bent's department, and I think we have a great staff up there. I don't think anybody's questioning the staff and what they do. I think the issue is this council approved a $180,000 study by Jacobs Engineering. It was supposed to be completed in December of 2018. I don't believe the city council has seen that. The public certainly has not seen it. Back in, I sent an email in December of 2018, and the response I received was that we should have something in the second quarter of 2019. Well, we're in the third quarter of 2019, and I don't know if y'all still have seen it. I know I have not. And it was inferred that maybe the study is complete in Mr. Bennett's presentation. I don't know if that's true or not, but we need to see that. You need to see that, because you've got to make decisions on what to do with this city. I'm of the opinion that once this report is made, that we're going to have expenses that make the event center pale in comparison. And you're making decisions on parking decks, hotels, and so forth that are expensive. And first and foremost, I think the city council, one of the things that you need to do is fund our infrastructure needs, which also includes the streets that were alluded to earlier. So I really think that someone on this council needs to ask where that study is. We need to see that. Within what I was in the email, or with what's going on, and with what Mr. Boone presentation he gave to council and committee of the whole many months ago, 70% of our assets of the wastewater treatment plant and the Sunset Avenue plant exceed 20 years, or 40% of the water and sewer mains exceed 50 years. So I think the issue is, and I think we're treating wastewater that we're not being paid for. The city's not receiving revenue for the wastewater that we're treating, and that's a serious issue. So I stress to this council that you get the Jacobs Engineering study. I don't think anybody questions the capability of our staff. They need to have the equipment to work with. And so I implore you to make public this presentation and actually have Jacobs come and present to you and the public. Thank you.
Mayor, I would like to go on the record formally requesting that the actual study be released to the public and to this council, not an edited version of it, not a synopsis of it, but the actual study. Thank you. I need a second to that.
And Mayor, I'd like to go on the record when Richard.
Was that a motion or is that?
Yes. I move that the actual Jacobs study be released to this council and to the public, not an edited version of it, not a synopsis of it. And I would appreciate a second to that motion. Thank you.
Second to motion.
Have a motion second. Any other discussion?
I'd like to hear from the manager about the status of it.
I'm not quite sure whether or not the study has been completed, but we certainly will find out. I would also recall that during the time that information was presented to the council, there was also a direction that came from this council about how that study would be improved, the recommendations would be improved. And so it was determined at that time that the council was not interested in increasing utility rates to support the debt on those improvements, but to continue in the same financial way that we have always addressed infrastructure improvements. And so that is the direction that was given to the staff, and that is why the planning for those improvements, as Mr. Bent illustrated, have been a part of the CIP. So it's also about not only cost, but it's how you're going to pay for it. So I will certainly see to it that the information that we have is shared with the council, and we just await council's direction.
There's a motion and second on the floor.
But there's discussion, so does anybody else have any discussion?
I'd like to make a comment and appreciate the manager's comments. We spent a couple of days at the wastewater treatment plant and the water treatment plant, and they were great opportunities to see those facilities and hear from people. And I really appreciate the manager creating the opportunities to see those. What I recall from those meetings was we were going to need to spend money going forward, as you would naturally think we would. Some of it might be somewhat significant, but that there was going to be ongoing consideration of how to do that and fund it. And those recommendations would come forth as you develop those.
Yes, and they came forward in the form of the CIP. So that's how we were able to communicate to the council as to what those needs are, and then how it would fit into a financial plan for the city without the benefit of increasing utility rates.
Right, I understand that, but there were also unmet needs beyond the 5-year CIP. And I think that's maybe what I was more specifically thinking about, that there might be significant items out there. Weren't quite sure how they were going to be funded, and that you all were going to continue to analyze
yes, sir.
Cost of service and the funding opportunities or funding avenues that meet with those needs.
That's right, because it shifts from year to year, and it's really based on conditions and the needs of the system at the time.
All right, we have any other discussion? If not,
yes.
all right, yes.
I think we got from the city manager, Ms. Benson, that we are still in good standing with our water and those requirements that is needed for the upgrades.
I have a comment, and I think that Mr. Rich Worsinger was alluding to that our water would be like Flint, Michigan, and it's just been proven that that is not true. We have a long history of unmet needs in certain parts of our city, inner city and east part of Rocky Mount, which is the Edgecombe side, and all of a sudden now we're not meeting some other needs that you all had just brought forth. But I'd just like to put on the record that it was a study done in the electric department, in Rich's Worsinger department, and it was stated that there had been some conflict of interest, kickbacks, and favors done. And when the auditor, our former auditor, Darlena Moore, asked for the report, he refused to give her the report, and he refused to give it to Charles Penny. So in light of what Ms. Chris Miller just stated in a motion that she would like to see the report, I would like to make a motion to see the report coming from Rich Worsinger department that has not, and I have requested it over and over and over again, but it was withheld by Mr. Rich Worsinger from the study of that department. So we're going to scrutinize other departments. We need to scrutinize and sanitize that department. And And that's my motion I would like to say.
Excuse me, there is a motion and second on the floor.
So I got,
Let's carry the motion.
thank you. My comment is this, you know, if we pay for a study, I think it's more than reasonable that we need to see the study. The problem that I have no problem reading the study and having conversation about actions that were recommended from that. I do hear the city manager saying that you took another route because all of us adamantly insisted that we did not want rate increases, so you took another route. However, the objection I have is not for the study. I plan to vote for the release of the study as well as make a motion for the release of the other study that Mr. Knight referenced. My problem is the politicizing of need that our community has. That was a political stunt. That's what it was. It was not calling attention to a problem. It was a stunt. And that's what I have objection to. So I'm ready to vote. I have no problem supporting it. I like to see it all.
I have a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, and then Mr. Knight, you want to make a motion?
I'd like to ask our manager, are you aware of this study?
I'm not aware of the study. I haven't actually seen that particular study, but I have heard people speak of the study.
Well, since the auditor here, maybe they can help find that study. But again, I would like to make a motion that we, the council, see that study, that report that was done under the leadership of Rich Worsinger Department, that same report be shared with us simultaneously as a report that Chris Miller just recommended that we see as well.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Both of those are approved. Let's see. We are going to move on now to item number. No. Still in public comment.
You just need to make sure.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Elaine B. Williams, candidate for Rocky Mount City Council Ward 4. Good afternoon to all. I would like to thank our city manager for having that report done, and thank you, Mr. Bent, for doing such an awesome job at explaining it. I also would like to invite our residents to come to our Rocky Mount Planning Board meeting that we have monthly. Our next meeting is September the 10th at 5:30. I've been part of the planning board now for 10 years. And we don't see the residents in the planning board meeting. We need to see you all there. It's a monthly meeting, and we want your input, just like you have your input at the city council. So we will greatly appreciate your input, because that's where it all starts, in the planning board. We start all of that right there. So that's when your input really will be greatly appreciated. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Dante, is it Caldwell? And again, after that, Samuel Batten.
How y'all doing this evening? I'm coming over here speaking on my behalf, man. My family staying in a house supposed to stay condemned. And like right now we struggling, like paying for hotel, the hotel here and there. And I just had a newborn son last month. You know, when I can't work, I'm disabled, I'm on disability. Finally, thank God I started getting to receiving that. But paying for a hotel room for $300-something, it's like, it ain't paying for much. And just trying to consist for help for my family in need, you know, trying to be there for them. And the house, the landlord was Cecil Care. The city people can't inspect the house and everything. They said the house supposed to stay condemned anyway because they had a lot of mold in the house because they didn't need it around newborns, like little kids. And they sparked fire through the wall. Thank God they didn't catch on fire, you know. And we called the people to come and fix and see what they can do about the situation. They didn't ever do that. And I was just trying to conceive help for my family, sir. Yes, sir.
You said Cecil?
So, what's your address again, sir?
I've got it.
You got it, I'm sorry, you're gonna refer to it. He's asked for help, are we gonna refer that to someone to assist him?
Well, you got two addresses here, 231C.
Yeah, that's where I stayed, but my family stayed on 315 South Howard Street.
Okay, all right.
It was a half apartment.
Okay, okay, all right, thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. And they trying to conceive for help, you know, man, because we like homeless. Me anyway, homeless.
All right, thank you.
I mean, this what we trying to.
All right, just give it to this young lady right here. Mr. Bowden?
Wait a minute, Mr. Miller, we referred everybody else for help, are we sending you someone? So you're gonna handle it, or the clerk's office gonna handle it? Okay, thank you, Ms. Mayor, just wanted to.
If he's got a phone number, get that, Kim. All right, Samuel, come on down.
Thank you, Ms. Mayor.
Good evening. Brother needs some help. I need the NAACP need to help this brother right here. Yes. Number one, Lord's gone, but all this killing that's going on in Rocky Mountain. I see everybody coming up here talking about the water, talking about this and that, but nobody ain't addressing these murders going on in the city. That's the problem. How you gonna get stuff coming here and then you can't address these murders? Raleigh is off the change over there. I don't see no city council, nobody going over there trying to put nothing together still. But y'all can bring these $1 million business here to Rocky Mountain. Then you're talking about redlining. How come it's redlining in the city? Only 800 cars come through the city of Rocky Mountain a day. You got 18,000 come up here, down here in 64 bypass. Why the motel can't go down there? Number 3 issue. OIC. My people ready to leave there. They need their referrals, and they can't get the referrals to leave there. Y'all need to make, they can't find the medical records or none of that.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
This is not an ORC board meeting,
It's
and
not.
I hope you will rule him out of order at this very time.
Then Mr. Bowden either address the council.
I got you. It's nice. But the thing is there. We don't even have council stand there in the house. They're supposed to be standing there.
I'd like to rule him out of order at this time. If not, I'm gonna call a point of order with the attorney.
Well, I'm just gonna ask Mr. Bowden again, we've asked you to address, what you said here.
I got you. It's no problem. It's no problem like that when you get it. But number 3, these murders in this city, it ain't out of order for that. Y'all out of order. You need to address these murders. This curfew that y'all not enforcing, you need to address it. People are losing their kids and everything in this city, and you sitting around here playing checkers. This is chess going on in this city. Now, y'all only giving support to the people that's gonna support you back. See, I'm not gonna be bought by nobody.
You got 30 seconds, Mr. Bowden.
You know, Mrs. Nancy, I need to talk to you later.
You don't need to talk to me. You don't need to talk to me.
Huh?
You don't need to talk to me.
Okay. All right.
And don't even try it.
All right, we're gonna close the public
Mr.
petition
Mayor.
part of the meeting.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
every council meeting, you read your statement.
Yes.
And if we have citizens that constantly come here and go against what you just read, then you need to enforce the policy that the city council had empowered you to enforce. That's going on too many times. It's not just, if it's whoever it is, it needs to be enforced.
I would, I've tried to give everybody plenty of leeway here to address issues that sometimes are not pertinent to what our meeting is. And sometimes I would tell you the same thing happens with the city council, that people make remarks that are addressed at certain people. So again, I said this before, it needs to go both ways, and I'm gonna say it again. So we have tried to give people plenty of leeway to express themselves, and again, we limit them to 3 minutes, and we're going to move on at this point in time. Item number 9 is a public hearing. Norris, thank you for being patient, relative to the economic development inducement agreement between the City's Gateway project. The project is called Tire Entity and Nash County for the provision of inducements for the project. Recommended action is going to be receive public comment, consideration of the inducement agreement, and 3, authorize the mayor and the city clerk, finance director to execute the agreement on behalf of the city. So at this time, it is a public hearing, but we're going to have a presentation first.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, thank you for a couple of minutes to just talk about a great project that we are working on for the city of Rocky Mount. This is a project called Project Tire. It's 96 new jobs. The average salaries on these jobs are $52,292 per job, plus benefits. The investment is about $4.7 million. We think it'll be closer to $5 million. This company, when they locate here, will create about 30 jobs a year for 3 years. They are purchasing an existing building, the old MBM building, down at 3051 North Church Street. This is a very large U.S. company. They have 13 locations across the United States. They are involved in frozen food distribution and transportation, and they are looking forward to moving to Rocky Mount with their business. The inducement agreement that has been presented to you and your committee of the whole will induce them to come to Rocky Mount and create these jobs. If you approve the inducement agreement, the state of North Carolina and Nash County is prepared to also provide some inducement, as is the Carolina Gateway Partnership, to encourage these people to move to Rocky Mount with their business. Once the project is approved by you in this session, the state of North Carolina will move to approve a grant to the project, and the governor is prepared to announce this project early next week. Mr. Mayor.
Anybody have questions for Mr. Tolson? Not, thank you. And again, I entertain a motion.
So move.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, thank you for reminding me. It is a public hearing. Does anybody, member of the public, wish to speak on this item? If not, the public hearing is closed, and now I would,
So move.
have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Item 9 is approved. Item 10 is a consideration of request from Inglewood Baptist Church to conduct a fireworks display. This is on September the 8th. Event time is at approximately 9 o'clock. Recommended actions to approve the fireworks request.
So moved.
Motion by Councilmember Miller, second by Councilmember Joyner. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Item 10 is approved. Item 11 is the notification to council of intent to apply. This is for the JAG grant for the purchase of equipment. And note, if awarded, the city share to be used to purchase live scan fingerprinting machine. Recommended actions to acknowledge the notification of intent to apply for and plan use of the JAG funds.
So moved.
Motion by Councilmember Miller, second by Councilmember Joyner. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Item 11 is approved. Item 12 is a consideration of a petition for annexation. This is at 2014 Old Mill Road. The recommended actions to acknowledge the receipt of the petition and adopt a resolution ordering the city to investigate sufficiency of the petition.
So moved.
Motion by Councilmember Miller, second by Councilmember Joyner. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. I want to amend item number 11 in that the recommended action is to acknowledge the notification to apply for and plan use of the JAG funds and allow the mayor to sign the certification assurances. Can I get a motion?
Move.
All right, motion and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. All right, we've amended item 11. Item 13 is a consideration of the following parks and recreation grant applications. A is a North Carolina Grassroots Arts Sub-Grant. It's for Edgecombe County for art at the Holly Street Project, Holly Street Park. B, North Carolina Grassroots Arts Sub-Grant, Nash County for Downtown Live at the Imperial Center. The recommended action is to approve the grant applications and approve the local matches and authorize submission of the application by staff. And 2, authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute the required documentations and certifications, including subsequent grant agreements.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Miller, second by Councilmember Blackwell. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Item 13 is approved. Item 14 is a consideration of one memorandum of understanding between the Rocky Mount Public Schools and the City of Rocky Mount. This is a provision of 6 school resource officers, and 2, a memorandum of understanding between the Rocky Mount Preparatory School and the City of Rocky Mount for the provision of 1 school resource officer. Recommended action is to approve the memorandum of understanding and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute the same on behalf of the city.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Knight, second by Councilmember Blackwell. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Item 14 is approved. Item 15 is a consideration of a resolution approving amendments to policy number, or the policy alarm ordinance violation fees. It updates the language to correspond with the changes to the alarm ordinance amended on June 10th. Recommended action is to adopt the resolution approving the amended policy. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Blackwell, second by Councilmember Joyner. Any discussion?
I did have a call this afternoon from a citizen who was concerned about a $50 charge for something that they might be working with their alarm company to resolve. So I wanted to clarify how many such false alarms can a business or residents have before this kicks in.
According to the information that has been provided, it appears that it's the 4th.
Thank you. And that had been my recollection, that it was not on the first or second one that it was.
If you have registered, if you have registered your alarm system, it would be the 4th. If you haven't registered it, then,
And if anyone who has an alarm system, do they automatically receive that notice from the commercial provider of the alarm service that they have to register it, or how does that happen?
I can only speak from personal experience. I didn't receive any notice at all. I had to find out the hard way. And it is a bit of a challenge to speak with at least the alarm system that we have. So I can understand the challenge that some people are having out there. I don't know whether we register through the police department, or if the assumption is made, once you turn the system on, that the alarm company would register, the system on behalf of the owner.
Well, can staff research that and maybe publicize it through social media?
Certainly.
It's possible.
Yes, ma'am.
But I remember several years ago, a business owner along 301 had commented about that, and apparently the wind was jostling his door and setting his off, and he kept getting a charge for it.
Right. Anything else come for the council? I think we have to go back into a meeting, the whole meeting that was,
We have to finish the motion.
All right. 16 is consideration of the following transit grants. There's A, B, and B there. Both of them have to do with the NC Department of Transportation. And the other one has to do with our community transportation grant. The recommended action is to approve the grant agreements and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute the agreements and all required documentation.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Joyner, second by Councilmember Rogers. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Item 16 is approved. Item 17 is, a bid for a sodium hypochlorite conversion project at the Tar Reservoir Treatment Plant and Wastewater Treatment Plant. This is an award to Enos Construction Company in the amount of $1,796,000. 2, a budget ordinance amendment appropriating $997,000 in the water fund and $799,000 in the sewer fund to cover the project expenses. Recommended action is to award the bid as recommended, authorize the mayor to execute the agreement on behalf of the city, and 2, adopt the budget ordinance.
So moved.
Motion by Councilmember Blackwell, second by Councilmember Knight. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Item 17 is approved. Item 18 is a consideration of release of natural gas utility easement. This is for commercial development, no longer needed to serve Terrytown Mall. It's been going a long time. Recommended action is to approve the release of the easement, authorize the mayor to execute the same on behalf of the city.
So moved.
Motion by Councilmember Joyner, second by Councilmember Bullock. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Item 19, consideration of bids. 1 is a natural gas system. It's a labor contract. 2, item B is a screw pump replacement at our Highway 97 lift station. And C, the fire station uniforms awarded to American Uniforms. The recommended action is to award the bids as recommended, authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute the bid contracts for both D and on behalf of the city, A and B. And 3, authorize the purchasing division to issue purchase order and execute a bid document for C in accordance with the council's award.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Knight, second by Councilmember Joyner. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. I don't think there's another page here, so I think we are done now, so.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I think we gotta go back to number 15. We didn't vote on that. We had conversation, the motion and the second was made, I believe we had conversation, I think we voted on
Yeah.
She had to be approved.
Come out.
Yeah, we are, going to go back into so we're going back into a committee of the whole meeting that we adjourned, or we recessed it, and we're going to go back into that now. Thank you all for being here. The city council meeting is over.
Can we just leave them all there? Then hopefully we'll hire somebody else and then go ahead and form a committee so we can talk about it. Yes.
So shall I remind you, maybe 3 months after the?
Well, I think probably maybe 30 days.
30 days.
Because by that point, we would have started anything.
Can we make it small?
Maybe 30 days after she's hired, or the person's hired, 30 days from now.
30 days from now, we're done, and then we'll see where we are in the process.
Okay, that brings us to the Martin Luther King Jr. Commission. And you can see those.
Yeah.
The
Well,
ones
they're
in-
ward specific.
They are not ward specific.
And I would recommend.
They've been good people.
The gentleman back there in fact is David Worsinger.
Yes.
Who wanted to be in one of the other housing group forms of that.
And there are 2 vacancies there. Ms. Kia McGee, I don't know if you all know her. I don't know her, but her personal district one is there. She lives at 2033 Mobile Drive. I don't know where that is, but I do know it's in the city.
Two people that apply.
She actually lives in Ward 7.
That's what I was saying, you can make Mobile Drive.
Mobile Drive. So there are 2 vacancies on that if you are are interested in employment.
Educational advisor, what's for St. Augustine? That's
Go ahead.
We have alternates that they're interested.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
So we put those in. And that takes us to the mayor's commission. Same thing, I don't know if you want to just hold off on Doris Williams. I will get with Archie on that. Doris Williams and Barbara Page, I don't know.
Okay.
And then,
Yeah, that's a pretty good group.
there is one applicant there, Harold Clark, and there is a vacancy where Debbie Rollins was. She has moved.
Ma'am, you're speaking so softly, I'm not hearing you. Which one are you on there?
So we're on
Ten. Mayor's Commission of Disability.
Mayor's Commission. We have one that didn't return the form, so I'll talk to Archie about that. And then there's 3 that would like to be reappointed, and 1 new applicant, but also a vacancy for Debbie Rollins, who has moved away.
I'm impressed with him, that he's one of the first ones I've ever seen with height come back. And he's actually disabled, so I think that's probably a good thing.
I support that.
Yeah.
So takes us to the planning board, and there are 2. You, I'm assuming, hold on.
Well, I don't know what, I guess you said hold off to elections.
Well, yes,
Well, if you go ahead and reappoint her, she's on there, and if she.
she'll continue to serve until December.
Elijah and something, feelings up here, he's gonna have to be reappointed. Someone's gonna have to fill his position.
So, but do you want to do that or wait until Councilmember Watkins is here to do that? Okay. So Ms. Miller, do you want to reappoint Mr. Hutchins?
Hutchins.
Okay. And that takes us to the airport authority. Karen Hodges was your last appointee.
He was all about that.
Yeah.
Everybody knows.
Nobody knows anything about it. It's
That's
Gary.
Gary, yeah.
I would recommend him still.
Is that consensus?
Yes.
And then transportation advisory, and this is about council members. So, council members Joyner, Miller, and Bullock serve on that. And I believe all want to be reappointed.
Yeah, we got a lot of work to do.
Was that a yes?
Yes.
Tree advisory board. This board is having a little bit of a hard time meeting because they need votes.
Well, I recommend Sue Moore, Ward 5.
Who is not showing that you said they have a hard time with,
So, oh, your book doesn't reflect it because I learned it later. So Linda Bittner has moved away. That's yours. She's moved away. Dakota Sharp has missed a lot of meetings, but has not resigned. I think that the plan is to have a conversation with her first, though, because, yeah, it's just, she should, I think it's health reasons, but to ask her if she plans to resign, so I think that's a conversation.
And the Bittner is the one that's moved away?
Yes.
I haven't appointed next meeting.
Okay, okay. And, so Peter Gilliland, who is the chair of that board, called me the other day and said, also Ward 4 can't serve, and then we need one for Ward 5, which was just appointed. So, Doris Cooper, Ward 1 would like to be reappointed.
Yeah.
Okay. So Ward 2, 3, 4, those three, I will just remind you after that conversation. So that takes us to the Utility Service Review Board, and there's a vacancy just for Ward 6. And we will advertise that unless you know of someone that's.
I had a hard time last time. Yeah, do that.
So the Workforce Advisory Commission, I still don't have a personal history form from Sue Carey Cole. So we'll reach out to her again.
She's on vacation, I just got an email yesterday.
Okay.
For her leave next
So
month.
those bridges will.
Yeah, so you did officially appoint him, but I never did get his personal history.
I'll get that.
Okay. But do you had mentioned that you wanted to,
Yeah, there was another,
Ashton Halton?
yeah, Ashton Hall.
Okay, so I haven't gotten Mr. Bridger's personal
So,
history.
but you got Mr. Ashton Hall.
I did,
Let's just do that.
okay.
So, Richard, you say you're changing your nominee for that?
Yeah, Ashley Hall.
I think
Yeah.
Ms. Miller plans to, I mean,
Yeah,
Ms.
we're working.
Ms. Watkins plans to do something similar.
It's been he's been
So then you need one for Ward 6. That gotta be done.
Yes.
I'm working on it, I'm gonna call this guy here.
So Ward 6 and Ward 7. Ward 4 was appointed, but I don't have her personal history form, and I believe Ms. Watkins plans to make another appointment.
She wanted to appoint, I think, another person in this faith-based community.
Her name is Keisha Spivey,
Right.
but I'm assuming you want to wait and let her do that. Is that right?
She asked me before
She
she
wants
left.
you to do it?
She
Okay.
asked me, has she spoken to everyone?
yeah.
Keisha Spivey.
And her personal history form is in your book.
Thank you. So we still need a housing developer, someone from the business community. Is that right?
We do, but we also need, yes, the housing authority as well, because you saw that note that said, it's right here. It said that, Kevin Macklin, there's a conflict with him serving in that position, so we also need somebody.
So I wonder if they could have like a coordinator or something. I mean, is the conflict for the entire authority?
I don't know about that.
Or just him as a paid staff?
It said, so her email said, the Housing Authority Board of Commissioners recently met and determined appointing Kevin, Kelvin, is it Kevin or Kelvin?
Kelvin.
Macklin appears to be a conflict of interest. So she did not say anything about board members, so I don't know about that.
Conversation I've had, so I don't think I probably.
So we need to just revise that category here?
So we need, you mean reappoint a person?
Well, we set up the category, we wanted to make sure the housing authority had a voice, but if they don't
Gotcha.
feel they should have a voice, then perhaps we need to either decrease it by one or add another one to another category, business, community, or housing development. Does that make sense? Unless we feel that perspective should already be.
Are you asking me something? Because I think, I won't back away to say
No.
that, let you.
Well, I was asking the council, everybody, do you feel, when we first talked about this, we talked about trying to have
a balance of people who were interested specifically in housing, that had some kind of background.
Yeah.
Beyond the interest. So I remember the mayor specifically said you need somebody on there who knows about housing and knows about deal on right, the whole process. And since the housing authority is saying that it's a conflict of interest for them to be included in this commission, do we want to move this membership of one to another category under housing developer or business community and increase
Or
that
another.
to, or another category? Or do we leave it all together?
I tell you, let me make one more call to the housing authority and see if we can convince them that they need a member on here. I think they do that, and then I'll also need a housing developer. And suggest somebody by the next meeting. Okay.
Because I'm assuming we need to meet some.
I see on these comments for personal history form, we have reached out to him numerous times, but we'll still do it again, but we still don't have it. So that leaves a business community member. Ward 6 and Ward 7.
Ward 6, Dr. Trudy is interested.
She is, yes. Are you?
You can talk to one of those. They don't have to be commissioned.
It's ward, it's ward specific.
Each ward's got one.
It's ward specific, so that's your.
But I got a sheet, or you got a sheet.
For Dr. Trudy, I do, you're making that appointment?
If that's appropriate, yeah. She's pretty sharp. She does a lot of studying, research.
And lastly is our external appointment. Councilmember Nye serves on the Carolinas Gateway Partnership. Do you want to continue to do that?
If they can, we've got no one to meet. I think Kim got that one.
And Mayor, I think you said Barb.
That's fine.
So reappoint both. And Upper Coastal Plain. So Councilmember Knight and Councilmember Watkins serve on that. But they did say that.
Very,
So do you want?
really for like smaller towns, we pretty much, but we're talking about this. Anyone that wants to serve on it?
What's that?
The upper coast. I think we get someone to do it when I can.
I don't mind.
Well,
Do they want elected officials?
They do, and they sent me this little thing.
So we had a thing coming.
Yes.
I used to go to some of the meetings, but sometimes it's not as relevant to us because we're a bigger city and a lot of what they provide seems to be work for smaller cities, but I guess.
And we do, provide funding to them, I just can't remember what the level of funding is.
Well, here's my question. Would they allow Rochelle, a staff member, just to come and observe?
They're open.
Okay, not be a voting member, I guess, but just.
If you send a proxy, then.
That's what
vote, yeah.
that's a better word, proxy.
I can talk to him, because he sent the same information, and
I got
actually we
a
spoke
copy
on
too.
the phone. And,
We have a new CEO for
Yeah.
I think he may have been in now about a year, maybe.
Okay.
Is he newer than that?
No, he just.
He just started, because I met one
Used to be in Wilson, I don't know what it is.
time
Yeah.
back, but, so he didn't last very long.
And then we come back to that town. Can I find?
You'll see about a proxy. I think I may have asked him that question when I spoke with him.
Appoint one of your new council members.
Well, that's a good point. They can appoint some of the new council members.
No.
There you were. Right, it'll come back on, it'll come back on, but that's a good start, thank you.
Thank you, Pam, for pushing us through this. Andre?
Good start.
I want to go back to the mayor and Jeb Rose. The guy Sam, he made some kind of gesture like this at me.
I didn't see that.
He's
Yeah.
talking about murders.
And my thing of it is, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but you got the same person that come to this council and attack two council members, and Mayor, you allow this person to speak. This is not an OIC board member meeting.
If
This is
not, but to put him out, he's gotta disrupt the meeting.
Well,
If he, I'm not sure he got to that level. True, he was attacking you or OIC.
but that's what we said, no personal attack. That's what we read that every,
I'm not sure what he was talking about at OIC, quite honestly, with you.
I'm
He
not
said-
either, but I can't, and this is what I can say, I can never, no matter what people say, when it concerns medical, I cannot discuss them, and I will not even talk about what they're saying because of HIPAA.
Right.
Even though what they say might be completely erroneous,
Right.
and they could be the seed of every problem, I can't discuss it. But it's out in the open, and maybe I need to make those kind of statements. But one thing that I am concerned about with that individual is that he has a violent past.
allowed this stuff don't happen.
And
Put
he,
it on record.
and he, the last statement, the last time he had a problem, he made a direct threat.
You get serious then.
And this time,
He did make a direct threat the last time.
he made a direct
If
threat
you
the
come out here
last
and shoot up
time.
with somebody,
And
I'm
this
suing
time,
this city.
he did a sign
Yeah.
I'm
that
suing somebody.
indicates,
I'm
Yeah.
suing the city.
and
I
I'm
didn't see
saying
that.
That's
that's
I'm
Mr.
suing the
Dent
city.
as well.
If I get killed or get shot,
You be dead.
well, I don't know, I'm gonna put it in the record, because
Can we
it don't
do-
make
can we just-
sense.
Can we have somebody to, law enforcement, to talk to him? Because those gestures,
while he's talking
He's
about
out,
gang
he's
violence.
just still out of order.
Order.
He can't go nowhere in
Well,
this
no, I
county
think
and
Richard's
do that.
suggestion that, you know, if you could get a policeman to talk.
talk to
They
him.
don't talk
You
to
may not
him.
realize it's good. What?
They have talked to him.
But I think we need to write it up and give him a written warning.
He done had a warning.
So he, I mean, if he had all that,
There's no need to read the statement, we're not gonna
I'm
enforce
gonna
it.
Take attorney's advice on whether somebody can speak or not speak.
Yeah, I think he's got the right to speak when he comes up, but if he's doing something that's disrupting the meeting, then you gotta call him down and say, you know, you're gonna have to sit down. And if he doesn't sit down, you gotta say, well, you're gonna have to leave this meeting. And if he still doesn't leave, that's when you bring in the police, and then there's a misdemeanor he can be charged with.
so,
It's got to rise to the level of disrupting the meeting.
so we can let, someone from police to talk with him, and let him know that this
Yeah, that
behavior.
this is disrupting the meeting. I think that may be the best way to, at least, let's just try that.
You know, I think he is legitimately concerned about the killings in the, I guess mostly in inner city.
But I
So what
think
does
we-
this mean when somebody do that to you? If somebody, a black man do that to you, what would you do? Let's
But-
ask,
but we-
Was he doing it to you or just to illustrate what he
Okay, I'm
was saying?
too.
No, he said, I'll
I'm
see you later.
No, at the other meeting.
No,
Not tonight.
he
said
said it today.
Oh, he did? I
He
said
said, I'll see you later.
You all
see
ain't
that.
taking it serious. I
Yes.
know the man. Now, if he done it to Catherine, if he's done it to you, and to you, and to you,
I didn't see that.
you all would have some conversation about it.
Well, I think, I mean, I.
So I'm less of a man?
It worries me,
And-
it worries
Yeah,
me
it
too,
worries.
it worries me too, but I don't know the right approach. I think what Richard is saying, if the right police officer went and talked to him and just said, Sam, you literally, you're out of line to do this, and if this happens again, you know, these steps will be taken.
And it's clear that you cannot speak directly to a council name or make a, so when he called out names, that's the point to say, hey, wait a minute.
And unfortunately, people you know, do things that they don't actually call the name, they talk around it.
Yeah, yeah.
I ain't worried. I mean,
I think talking to him, you know, Lee, that's all.
But my thing is, we seeing people being killed all in this country with threats and stuff, and I think that we taking it too lightly with this person. Because I feel like if it was anybody else around this table, we wouldn't be.
So what do you think? Well, if that's the consensus of the council, then I think we need to take some action.
But when this man.
I'm suggesting that we go ahead with Richard's suggestions first.
So what's the next step?
Maybe have somebody from the police department talk to him,
But then
go out to see him.
You can't prevent him from
And
coming.
then, no, you can't prevent him from
Oh,
coming
no,
out.
I didn't say that. But when you start doing this and meet me outside,
Are you filming this?
and what you gonna do?
I'm not gonna put it up.
To me,
Well, that is a threat. I mean, that's an overt threat.
That was seen by a lot of people. Yeah. And I think, what I know about Chief Robinson is that he's the kind of person that can sit down and talk to the citizens and both hold them accountable at the same time. And
Maybe you two of you ought to make Richard, you and the chief.
Well, I think that's a good idea. Somebody from this, some council person should be in.
you want to go?
Not necessarily, but I don't know the man. so
I'll go with Chief. Chief
I
will
think
go with
you
him.
got the best man right here.
I'll go with him. I'll have a
I'd like to
talk.
know something.
And if you come up, call my name then. But I'll go.
Thank you, Richard, for being self-sacrificial.
Thank you.
I ain't trying to be self-sacrificial, but it do concern me though.
Well, if he wants to legitimately address an issue, and if it's murder in the city and he wants to talk about that,
It's fine.
then I'm okay.
Yeah.
But, yeah, a lot of times, I don't know where people are going stuff when they start talking, I
Yeah.
gotta tell y'all.
It happens pretty fast, too.
Yeah.
It does happen fast.
Well, and he's as if he's accusing us, when, you know, he could probably, he talked one night about taking a bunch of kids on a basketball trip, and he was just as calm and quiet. But he could probably do a turnaround and get people on his side easier than he could by what he's doing now.
Yeah. We'll do it. I'll get the chief.
Okay. Boards and commissions, thank you. So we have Rochelle, you want a closed session for
Please.
personnel.
For personnel and attorney.
Is there